Welcome, everybody. It's Tuesday, it's 10 a.m., and this is our very first Tech on Test road test. Morning all, it's Tech on Toast, not Tech on Test. That would be weird. This is our very first road test today with RotaReady and our good friend Steve Mcguigan. Steve will appear right now as if by magic. Steve, how are you?
Hello there, good Chris. Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. At 6 a.m. start to get down here to talk to you today. So I'm feeling dapper. By about 3 o'clock, I'll be on my knees. Anyway, so let me explain the road test very briefly. So what this is about is when we started Tech on Toast, we really started to think about the buying process for the operators and really how they get to see and view tech. And we wanted to create a way where they could get under the bonnet of tech, as it would be, and have a quick look at what's going on before they enter the buying process. And luckily, our lovely friends at RotaReady also agreed this is a good idea. And there we have Steve. So Steve, how long have you been at RotaReady?
So I've been at RotaReady 5.5 years. So I'm almost part of the furniture now.
Yeah, that's a long time in a SaaS company, right?
Yeah, it's a long time. Yeah. So I was employee number 3. We've been going for, well, technically I was employee number 4, but let's say 3. We've been going for about 7, coming on 8 years. So yeah, a long time in SaaS.
And tell me a little bit, just your best pitch of what is RotaReady? What does it do?
RotaReady, I mean, put simply, it's workforce management. The clue's in the name. So RotaReady, rotas is a big part of what we do. But we know when you think of hospitality, when you think of behind the scenes, building rotas, understanding the costs involved, communicating rotas, right down to HR. Are you doing your onboarding correctly? Do you calculate holiday accurately? All that stuff is, intrinsically important to running the business. As it is, cooking dishes and pulling pints. So that's what we wanted to nail. And yeah, that's what we do. We add value behind the scenes.
No, I love it. And I think the way I've set myself up today, I am a mid-market operator. I am working on Excel still. And do you know what? This is quite common. I've discovered this. I've been talking to a lot of customers, obviously, as I run Tech on Toast. And this is quite a common thing. So Excel is my thing. This is how I schedule all my teams. But the problem I've got is starting to see, I'm finding out at the end of the month that actually I wasted loads of money and I didn't know that during the month. And also I'm struggling with HR. I'm really haven't got much support going on. It's just, I've grown really quick. I've gone from 1 to 10 sites fairly quickly and I need some help. So first question is, Steve, can you share your screen? I'll get my little technician to do that for us in the background.
Certainly.
There we go. So start. Treat me as if I'm a mid-market customer. I need some help with my my rotary.
Yeah, absolutely. This right here is our website. Our viewers may have seen this before, which will kind of detail a few of our features and bits and pieces. What's worth pointing out, and the reason why I'm on this screen, Chris, is this section right here, customer stories. Because you said at the start about our the kind of RotaReady pitch or elevator pitch or where we see RotaReady adding value on here is exactly, I mean, it's going to do exactly that, tell you exactly where we add value and the kind of ROI, the return on investment. So I think that's really important. I just wanted to flag that. But yeah, I won't go through that now, but some great stuff. It's worth a read. What we've got today is a dummy environment. So yeah, let's pretend that this is your restaurant. Hope you like your logo there, Chris. Chris's restaurant, nice. And what I would say is take this with a pinch of salt, because every hospitality business we work with, everyone operates in their own way behind the scenes. We appreciate that and we build that into the very environment that they'll end up using. So yeah, take this one with a pinch of salt. I borrowed your name, as you can see, and we'll give like a quick sort of 10-15 minute run through of a few key areas. If I was to go in detail, we'd be here all morning. And obviously time is of the essence.
I'll try not to interrupt you too much.
Interrupt away, fire some questions, keep me on my toes. So what I'm going to do, hit login, and that's going to take us into the first part of the platform. Now, depending on what we see here is going to depend on your permission levels, right? So if we are you, we can see everything throughout the business. If we are, one of the team on the ground, in the kitchen, front of house, of course, what we see then is going to be very different. Now, it lands on this screen here, which is called the Rota dashboard. The Rota dashboard is going to make sure operators know exactly what's going on. When we see the bits and pieces in green, we know we're in a good place. So, for example, we haven't got any attendance issues for this week. We've got our sales figures, which are all in there. We've got a rota drafted so far for the upcoming week. So we know we're in a good place. The stuff that's in red is just stuff we need to action. So in order to get our data ready, our payroll data ready, we need to sign off on information. So RotaReady is hinting to us, by the way, this is stuff that we need to do. This week, we can see we've got a couple of attendance issues. So RotaReady will flag these to us in advance, so we know what's going on. So if somebody doesn't clock in or somebody clocks out later than they should have done this week, RotaReady is going to flag that. Where I think it's worth starting is actually if we just scroll across the top here, just to kind of show you the areas that we've got. So right now we're on everything relating to rotas. So the rota dashboard, we've got cost control. So that's where all your numbers will pull in. We've got staff, which is the onboarding section, essentially. We've got attendance. So attendance will be, the clocking ins and outs, and you can see exactly what's going on, and lots of reporting. So on this dashboard, we're just at the Clapham site, but we can scroll through again because we have the permissions to, Chris. We can look at any of these sites we can jump into. And we've got lots of reports that you can pull out on all of those. Now, if we were to, it depends where you want to start. Should we start with a HR section first, do you think, or do you want to jump straight into everything?
Yeah, one of my issues is the fact that I'm a small company. I don't have an HR director yet, but I need HR support on a light touch.
Perfect. In which case, let's start there. So clicking staff pulls up our HR section, but also a staff list. This staff list here, we can see all of our colleagues in Clapham, but actually we can pull out, those in Liverpool. We can pull out the others in our London sites. When we do that, it's going to pull the whole teams. We can add more columns if we wanted to. So kind of configure our own report, really. If we wanted to check everybody's nationality or passport details, bank account details, how often they work, then we can pull that data at a snapshot, right? So the ability to have your information as quickly as possible, it's right there. If I were to click Gregory Barnes, we've got his data here. So if I quickly rattle through a few of these tabs,
Sure.
Account, that's kind of authentication, logging in languages and things like that. Personal, that's their personal details, really. It's not going to blow your mind. But what's worth mentioning is, for example, the date of birth. RotaReady is underpinned by the Working Time Directive. So if you've got maybe an under 18 working in the kitchen, their working rates and rest periods are going to be different to yours and mine, Chris. So
that's going to be one of my
questions.
Will it keep me compliant? I suppose that's one of the things that I worry about, because obviously I don't have an HR director, as I said. So does this keep me compliant?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it will. So the Working Time Directive, RotaReady will flag if we are exceeding certain levels on the rota, but also staff opt in, they opt out, as we know. But it will keep you fully compliant. Also on the compliance side, employment details. So tracking everybody's stage of employment, from the moment they start. Does their role change? Do they have more hours? Employee numbers for HMRC, P46s, things like that. RotaReady can do it. Pay works in a similar vein. RotaReady is going to keep that audit trail. So from the moment somebody starts, pay rises, national minimum wage goes up, that kind of thing, it can all be logged here. And we'll talk about the cost of the staff, because the cost here and the actual cost of staff is different, as we know, including NI and holidays.
That's one of my big issues. So with my Excel world, I'm seeing a cost at the end of the month, and then I'm getting another cost when it comes through the bank. So I'm actually paying more than I thought I was going to. So I'm getting a nasty surprise each month.
Yeah, that's something probably won't surprise you, Chris. That's something we hear quite a lot. So staff, when they're working, RotaReady will take into account their pay rate. So whether that's salaried or hourly paid, it will take into account national insurance contributions, pension contributions, holiday contributions. If we think a bank holiday and you might pay time and a half, RotaReady will include that as well. That isn't on this screen. That's on the kind of cost control, and on the rota we'll see that. Right here is just their actual wage that they're on. But yeah, we hear that a lot, and that's definitely something we can help with.
Thank you.
Moving on to absence. So I mentioned holidays. Holidays is important in order to calculate it accurately. Clicking absence is going to bring up all types of absence, whether that's sickness, could be paternity leave, it could be, just unpaid days off or holiday. So we can see that there. Clicking allowances, that's going to let us know, okay, how does Gregory Barnes get his allowance? We can see here, he accrues his in hours. So with every shift he works, with every hour he works, essentially, RotaReady is going to calculate that automatically. And if we consider you're, doing all your rotas and everything on Excel, this is a big reason really why we often get a lot of inquiries from businesses that use Excel, because this is a pain in the bum to calculate. So RotaReady will just do this off the bat and calculate it for you automatically. And what
is it? Sorry, I know. Is it visible to the employee as well as me?
Yeah, that's important. Yeah, so employees will have access to RotaReady on the RotaReady or on the app for iOS and Android. On there, they can view their holiday entitlement. They can view their rotas. They can swap shifts if you want them to, all that kind of stuff. So that's important in giving them the visibility, to do all of that stuff. What's also important and pretty cool, but I'm a bit sad, Chris, is when a staff member is requesting leave, requesting holiday, RotaReady is going to calculate that their average working day length based on 52 working weeks. So RotaReady does that all automatically. If I show you an example of somebody requesting time off, we've got Eric here who's looking for a long weekend in June. He's asking for 3 days, but RotaReady's calculated right how many hours is 3 days. So RotaReady's done that for us automatically. So
that's very cool.
That eases the burden of calculating
I'm
that
also
yourself.
a geek like you.
Say again.
I'm also a geek like you.
Good to hear. We can see it with this this absence request. They've left a note. Again, they can do that on their app. But RotaReady is going to make sure, and if we consider that this request might be going to the GM of Clapham in this instance, we can see Angela's also off. RotaReady's flagging that because Angela is in the same department as our friend Eric here. So RotaReady's saying, okay, we've got to beware because they're both off on this weekend. We can also see any overlapping shifts that Eric might have, and also notable events. So if this was a bank holiday weekend, if this was a promotion period that you were offering, 2-for-1 cocktails on this weekend, whatever it might be, RotaReady can flag those up to you. So you're not allowing a lot of staff off when you're most likely going to need a lot of staff on. So RotaReady is automating a lot of that stuff you're doing on Excel manually. RotaReady's kind of just automating this and speeding up the processes. All makes sense so far, Chris?
Yes, I'm with you.
Good stuff. The last section before we jump on rotas and things like that is the document section. So the reason why I wanted to show this section is because, as we know, onboarding, you mentioned you don't have anyone sort of HR. This is going to be your HR area, storage, and everything therein. So if you need certain documents in order to onboard a staff member, albeit a contract, maybe a passport or identification, keeping employee handbooks on their file, things like that, that's something that you can do. They can send you documents, so through our onboarding process. So they might send you a copy of their passport or something like that. But you can also send them documents. So we have an e-signature. So send them a document to sign. So you'll have your template of let's say a commie chef contract or front of house team contract. And then RotaReady can auto populate that contract with all the details that we've got in here, like the pay rate and their employment and all that kind of stuff. Populate the contract. He can read it electronically, sign it, and then it will land back in here once that's been done. So it's your. So
there's no email there then. There's no email.
Pardon?
It's just in through. It's no email there. It just goes through the system.
Well, this on their contract for the e-sign, it will go to an email address. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Fine. Right. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So with their kind of initial documents, they can send from the app, take a picture of whatever it might be, passports and things. But yeah, when it comes to like signing a contract, that will go to an email. And yeah, they can read it, sign it, and then it lands back in here. So it's all kind of automating it. You don't have to print off anything, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, leaving contracts lying around, my best habit.
yeah. Cool. So don't want to go OTT on HR. Don't want to go in crazy detail.
No, that's cool. That's really nice. One of the issues I've got is because I've got multi-site businesses. Oh, there you go. Someone's asking the question there. Would I be able to use this for a single site, or does it have to be a multi-site business?
No, single site or multi-site. Yeah, it's across the board. We work with hospitality. We work with a one-off cafes. I can think in my head, one-off pubs, things like that. But also, yeah, we work with multi-site, 100 sites, that kind of thing. So no one's too small, no one's too big.
There you go. Thank you, Jenna. Sorry, mate. Carry on.
So what I'll do is I'll move away from HR. I'll jump back on the Rota dashboard. On the Rota dashboard, we can get into the thick of the Rota. So if we consider we're building a Rota, we've got the steps here. RotaReady's got some nice simple steps in order to get that built. Hopefully, hospitality and operators will agree with the process. Number one, we need to make sure who's off or who might be off before we build a Rota. Number two is adding a sales forecast. So understanding, what we're going to do that week is a sensible idea, before we build a Rota. Then we're going to draft that Rota. And then in your world or maybe in somebody else's, does that Rota need to be marked for approval? Does someone in ops or maybe a business owner want to just review the Rota? It's always good to get another pair of eyes looking at the Rota after all, and then publishing it. So at that moment, your team will receive their shifts and when they're working. So if I started this process, we've talked about holiday. The next step is adding a sales forecast. So this is very number heavy, Chris. So hopefully you like a lot of numbers, because here they come. If I click this, it's going to go into our cost control. Now our cost control here will be sort of part completed because we haven't published the Rota yet. So what we're seeing here is the forecast. So this is all your numbers in terms of what hours are we resourcing on the Rota, what are our sales looking like for the week, our wages, our wage percentage, productivity, any covers, any custom metrics that you want to add, it can all be added. If I scroll back a week, so we've got some numbers actually in here. So this is for this week. Because we published the Rota, we can see the hours that we're going to resource. We can see the wages. So this wage cost, like we were mentioning earlier, Chris, this includes the national insurance contributions, the pension contributions, the holiday contributions. All of that stuff is included.
Can I just ask a question? Sorry, just I've got another question from Jenna, but I've got a quick one. So if I'm uploading from a budget, if I've written my budget for the year and I want to upload my budgets, is there a back end where I would basically, is there a template I would fill out to make it look like this?
You've nailed it. That's exactly it. So you would, a template, and then obviously we can help you. A big part of our offering isn't just the tech here, it's the support behind the scenes. So we know software like this, as I'm biased here, as slick and as good as it is, if we don't have the team behind the scenes to help operators get up and running, help with the setup, any team that might forget to clock in and out, forget their password, that's where we help. We add some value. So because we're UK based, our support team is UK based as well. So we can just help you right on hand. So this intercom button down here will put you in touch right away with our team. So if you're on cost control, you're a GM, you're thinking, I can't quite remember how to do this or what this does, then we're right there. We can help you. We can see the screen you're on. So
and
it's
how quick is that? So if I'm sat in my office and I'm stuck and I ask a question, will I get some support documents, or will it just be someone like a human that responds to me? How does it work?
It's a human being, would you believe, at the end of the line? So we've got our intercom where you can just chat to us online, but I guess we're one of the few tech companies that still operate a telephone. So if you're if you like to speak to somebody, then certainly you can get a hold of our team that way. So we're there to help.
Very cool.
as I mentioned, that's your forecast. Then we've got your actuals. So your actuals will be populated by your staff clocking in and out, be populated by your sales, your EPOS going through, and RotaReady can pull all that data through, and then your variance. So once your week begins, how you did against what you said you do, and the color coding here will hopefully help.
And I've got a question. Sorry, just you mentioned there about EPOS. I've got an older EPOS in my site, and I know my colleague down the road who runs a restaurant chain. He's got a different EPOS. Is it possible to integrate? You guys integrate with most of these people, or how does that work?
Yeah, we've got an open API, so you know, we're happy to work with everyone. Keep in mind, if it is an old EPOS, they might not have an API. It might be more difficult to obtain that data from a tech point of view. But failing that, you can just manually enter just here. And yeah, depending on the cost streams you have, here's just wet and dry. They're the typical ones, but others will have more events rooms, things like that. And you can just enter the figures manually, and that's going to give you your wage percentage.
Very good. Thank you.
Lovely stuff. So without further ado, we're called RotaReady. Let's look at the rota. So how you build a rota, it's up to you. There's a few different ways. We know managers will want to build rotas in maybe their own way. Maybe they copy and paste one week to the next. Maybe they want to start from a blank rota all the time. Maybe they want to auto-generate a rota. RotaReady can do all of that. But if we just have a look here at this mock rota, and I've kind of split this rota out between sort of management, supervisors, the floor team, the bar team. So as I said, take it with a pinch of salt, because in reality, you'd probably have two rotas for the back of house team, front of house team, things like that. But yeah, just for the sake of this demo, you can see them all intertwined. And the different colors represent the different roles. We can see our team down on the left. We can see our days of the week at the top. The team, we can see the hours that we're resourcing against what they're contracted to do. So it flags up green if they're meeting those. If you want to view the rota in different ways, you know, we can filter and change the order of the staff. We can change the group view. We might want to look at, you know, a monthly rota or a daily rota. So lots of different views. If we want to check out the cost involved, again, like a lot of things we've been through today, this is very permission based. So we can see kind of a mini view of what we just saw earlier in terms of how many hours we're resourcing, what's the cost of this rota. And RotaReady is going to change
day by day. Sorry.
Yes.
I was just saying, so you can look day by day. That's great.
Yeah, and RotaReady will let us know in terms of color coding, you know, if we are within our budgets. You mentioned budgets earlier. So we can see we're spending just over £8,000, but our wage costs, we're within that budget that we set. So we're in a good place. So that's going to hopefully give the GMs or the people building these rotas a good visibility of where they need to be for the business. A huge difference between this and an Excel spreadsheet, apart from the obvious, is the fact that, yeah, RotaReady is live. So any staff clocking in and out, you know, any changes to the rota will all be updated in real time. So yeah, you've got all of that there. If I were to click staffing profile, this is going to pull in, or we can add other metrics to each day. As we see here, we can see the staff across the day. If we wanted to pull in our reservations or anything like that, then yeah, we could see those and how many we've got, how many staff we have, and make sure we're building our rotas to meet that demand that we've got coming in. You can put events on rotas. So here's an example, 2-for-1 cocktails on Tuesday. So yeah, again, that might affect how many staff we need or should have. So yeah, hopefully that all helps when it comes to building rotas. As a multi-site operator, Chris, I'm guessing that you might have staff that jump between sites. So as we see here, we've got John Smith. He's actually working in Hackney. But what RotaReady wants to make sure, and I'd imagine a lot of operators will feel the same way, is if John is working in Hackney, we need to make sure his cost, so his wage cost and his hours, are attributed over to Hackney instead. So RotaReady will bring up this box automatically. So yeah, likewise, if we were to send him over to Islington, same rule applies. So RotaReady is going to make sure that his cost is at the other site. So yeah, when it comes to number crunching, payroll, RotaReady's got your back.
I love that. And Kieran's just asked a question here. He's just said, obviously, forecasting is really hard for anybody. I was speaking to Tenzo the other week about this, actually, about how do we get them as close as we can to reality?
Well, there's a few different ways we can do that. So forecasting in terms of, are we talking sales here? Are we talking the potential hours we're going to resource?
I think he's talking sales. Are you talking sales? He's in the background. So yeah, sales or hours as well, actually, because hours is really tough because obviously you've just shown us a little bit there about how you can base it around events or whatever's going on or, or previous history. But yeah, how do we, is that the best way to do it?
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. RotaReady needs to pull in as much information as possible to make sure that, as I said, you're building your rota to meet that demand. So when it comes to, if we're talking forecasting in terms of sales, if we know on Tuesday we've got certain events on which are ultimately going to draw a crowd, increase, footfalls increase, there might be a festival on nearby, whereby that will mean that a lot of footfall past the restaurant, or it could be a football game, a restaurant or a bar near a stadium. That's going to increase our sales ultimately. So jotting these events down, or it could be integrating with a reservation system, which can pull through that data for you. That's going to help. RotaReady is going to help you make sure that you've got all that information here in one place in order to build rotas and make sure you're hitting those forecasts that we've set. Perfect. Hopefully that answers your question, Kieran.
No. Yeah, he's just giving me the thumbs up.
Good stuff. So again, I don't want to go too crazy on the rotas. I want to squeeze everything in the allotted time. Any questions on that?
No, I'm all good. I was saying if anyone's got any questions as well, which we're missing because we're trying to pack this in quickly for you this morning. Just on the bottom there, rotaready.com is the site, and you can find Steve on LinkedIn if you need him, I'm sure, as well. So no, carry on, Steve.
Perfect. So in terms of our staff clocking in and out, naturally, we'll need to make sure we're capturing that data. So if I've just clicked attendance and I've just scrolled back, we can see in time order when our staff are due in. So we've got our staff here. We've got their scheduled time. Yep, that's what it says on the rota. RotaReady can deduct breaks for you. So if you say, if you're a waiter and you're working this amount of, you're working 7 hours, 8 hours, RotaReady can deduct a break based on your policies that you set. So that can be automated for you, nice and easy. And the moment they clock in, the moment they clock out, RotaReady is going to capture that data for you. How they clock in and out, there's two ways. Number one is through the mobile app we have, which uses location services. So they have to actually be in the restaurant, in the venue when they're clocking in and out on their phone. Yeah. They can't be on the bus. They can't be embedded. So that'll make sure it captures that exact data. And the second way is by having a tablet. So RotaReady can run on any tablet, and then they can clock in and out on that tablet. And that's going to capture that exact moment. Now, that exact moment's captured, and then RotaReady is going to do the number crunching for payroll. So it will apply the rules that you guys set. So from the very beginning, during what we call the configuration call, RotaReady is going to let you know, okay, what's the situation? What are we paying Alice for her shift for Monday? So as we can see, she's due to start at 11:15. She actually clocks in 2 minutes early. Well, there's no issue there. So RotaReady says, well, okay, perfect. You're going to be paid for when you should be paid. So it's going to be rules and exceptions that play a part in notifying the manager. If there's something like somebody, doesn't clock in, or somebody works overtime, that's going to kind of, cause any issues for payroll, RotaReady will flag those up for you. So we can see an example here, by the way. We've got Lewis, who looks like he's worked 38 minutes over when he should have finished. So click that. RotaReady says, okay, is this legitimate? Yes, it is. We asked him to. Great stuff. Or actually, no, he was having a drink, having some food, and clocked out when he left. No worries. We can hit reject. But RotaReady can obviously leave this down to the manager in order to sort that out.
That's great.
So in terms of reports and payroll, RotaReady can pull all of those for you. So we've got lots of ways in which you can get this payroll data. But if you did want to have a look at, last month, and we can select all of our sites, it might look something like this. So if we just take out a few of these,
just a quick one on there. Sorry, just a quick one. We've just got a question about swapping shifts, which is a common theme in my business, where everyone likes to. No one ever bloody does the rota they're actually given. So can they do it using an app, or do they have to do it internally? How does it work?
So they can do it via the app. So as I mentioned, the staff will have access to RotaReady for free, of course, through iOS and Android phones. And what they'll be able to do is, view their shifts. They'll be able to view their holiday. They can message on there. There's a messaging function on there as well. But yeah, like Sarah asked, they can swap shifts. So if I'm a chef and I'm swapping with maybe a front of house team, RotaReady has the intelligence behind it to make sure that, you know, I can do their job and they can do mine. So if I can't, or if they can't, then RotaReady is going to say that's not possible. So there is a level of intelligence that RotaReady has, but also RotaReady can go through to a manager for authorization. So if I'm a chef swapping with another chef, then yeah, that can go for approval. So yeah, there's lots of ways in which RotaReady can help you in that. So
thank you.
Yeah, good question. But yeah, just on this screen here, we can see that we've got all the kind of payroll information. RotaReady, as we've seen, is going to reconcile, make sure it knows exactly who's working what. If somebody's coming in slightly later, you know, we're not paying for that, if that's the rule that you guys put in. So yeah, this is going to be perfect for any payroll that you might use, whether you do it in-house, whether you have an accountant. Yeah, this will be perfect for them. And everything in RotaReady is exportable. So whether that's payroll data, whether that's staff data, you know, you can export it. So it's all there for you.
That's one of the biggest things I think for our team in my pretend business, that actually, and this is speaking from previous experience as well, that managing Excel sheets on payroll month for one individual is horrific, right? It's just it's so hard to do, and even if it's 1.5 individuals, human error can play a part, and it's people's pay, so it's hugely important you get it right.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And RotaReady, you'll have payroll right every single time, because essentially they're your rules that you're putting in. So there's not going to be any mistakes. If a GM is signing off a week, like we saw, and there are some potential mistakes, RotaReady will pick those out and say, by the way, the mistake is this person hasn't clocked in. By the way, the mistake is this person hasn't sorted their holiday. So yes, RotaReady will capture those before it gets to be a problem. That's important. One last report I want to show you, Chris, which will help your pretend business, is understanding if you're kind of operationally led. You'll want to understand, of course, what the situation is with your rotas and your multi-site business, or if it's even just one site or two site. You'll want to know, okay, what's the spend? What's the situation? Have our GMs drafted their rotas? If I scroll back, of course, this is a dummy environment, right? So there's lots of sites that don't have a rota in play. But if we pretend,
I'll have a word with them, mate.
We can see, Clapham, they published the rota, who did it and when, and we can see the overall spend. And RotaReady is going to flag these colors, nice and easy. Are we in budget? How are we doing? Our forecast sales is it where we need to be? It's a little bit under, that kind of thing. So the moment somebody drafts a rota, it might go through an approval step, like you mentioned. That'll then flag to you, or it will say here, waiting for approval. So yeah,
no, that's RotaReady. It's a great tool. I used to, when I was at college, it was a long time ago. We used to have a tool where it was Excel, but we used to look at the, your patch, I had 42 at one point on my one sheet of paper, where you could kind of see what was going on. Much better when it's live.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They're really useful.
Yeah, nice. We've obviously got lots of reports. There's lots of detail with it that we could jump into, but of course, conscious of time. But that's a good kind of top level run through. Unless you think I've missed anything out, Chris.
No, look, it's been brilliant, and I think it's really interesting. And obviously, you could spend hours on this. You guys are experts in what you do. I understand that. But really, the idea is to give people a snapshot of what RotaReady can do to help. And and we'll keep sharing the content and make sure more people see it. I just checked. There's any more questions from the room? No, we're all good. Okay. No one else asking questions at the moment. But Steve, if people are interested in finding more about RotaReady, how do they get hold of you?
Yeah, nice and easy. I mean, you've seen our website. They can reach out to us on the website through intercom or about contact us page. So nice and simple. Team at RotaReady. You can call us or live chat, as I said, or fill in a form. So yeah, lots of different ways. Or you can find me on LinkedIn, I guess they're the ways.
Carry a pigeon, whatever. Yeah, you can find me anyway. And also, actually, what we should is you're on the marketplace. So yeah, RotaReady are on the marketplace on Tech on Toast. If you click through their tile there, you'll see a podcast. We'll also place this there for you, Steve, so people can see this as well. And there's some of the details about RotaReady there. You can get in touch with them. So look, thank you very much, mate. I appreciate you taking part in the first one. You're
Thanks
a legend.
for having me.
You're very cool. And we shall see you all soon. A couple of weeks, we'll be here with the next one. Say thank you, Steve.
Lovely stuff. Thanks for having me. Cheers, Chris. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.